My birthday surprise? Jake and a stranger on our couch. He swore it was a joke, until I learned the truth. I'd been looking forward to my birthday all week. Work at the tech startup in Seattle had been brutal, and I couldn't wait to unwind. My boyfriend Jake promised a quiet night, just the two of us at our Capitol Hill apartment. I told him I didn't want a big party. No fuss, no surprises. He knew how much I hated those. Growing up, my mom's affair tore our family apart, and surprises always felt like a setup for betrayal. Jake swore he'd respect that. I trusted him. I got off work early at 3 p.m., grabbed a latte from a cafe on Pike Street, and headed home, smiling at the thought of curling up with Jake and a movie. But when I opened the apartment door, my stomach dropped. There, on our gray leather couch, was Jake, sprawled out with a woman I'd never seen before. Her arms were draped over him, her face inches from his. My keys slipped from my hand, clattering on the hardwood floor. My chest tightened, and I couldn't breathe. I turned to bolt, but Jake leapt up, blocking the door. "It's just a prank, Sarah," he shouted, his voice sharp, almost mocking. "Chill out." Before I could process, 10 of his friends spilled out from the kitchen, holding a cake and presents, chanting, "Happy birthday," like it was some grand reveal. My vision blurred with tears. I wasn't laughing. This wasn't funny. It was my worst nightmare playing out cheating, betrayal, all wrapped in a cruel joke. Jake's face hardened. "Oh my God, stop being so dramatic," he snapped, stepping closer. "I went all out for you and you're crying? This was supposed to be fun." His words stung, each one a jab at my heart. I'd told him about my mom, how her affair broke my dad, how it left me terrified of being deceived. And here he was, turning my pain into a punchline. I shoved past him, my hands shaking. "Move," I whispered, voice cracking. He grabbed my arm, but I yanked free, stormed to my car, and peeled out of the parking lot. My phone buzzed relentlessly, texts, calls, voicemails from Jake and our friends. I couldn't look. Each ping felt like a fresh wound. I drove aimlessly through Seattle's rainy streets, my tears mixing with the drizzle on my windshield. I felt stupid, humiliated, betrayed. How could Jake think this was okay? How could our friends go along with it? I pulled into a gas station, my hands still trembling on the wheel. My past rushed back my mom's lies, my first boyfriend's cheating, the way trust always seemed to crumble. I turned off my phone, silencing the chaos. I needed to escape, to think, to breathe. I didn't know where I was going yet, but I knew I couldn't go back. Not now. Maybe not ever. I drove through the rain, the Seattle skyline fading in my rearview mirror. My heart pounded, replaying the image of Jake with that woman on our couch. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I needed to get away, far from the apartment, far from him. I headed south toward Tacoma, the closest place I could think of to disappear. The city lights blurred through my tears, and I felt like I was unraveling, thread by thread. I pulled into a budget hotel off I-5, the kind with flickering neon signs and chipped paint on the walls. The clerk barely looked up as I paid $89 for a room. Inside, the bed creaked, and the air smelled faintly of stale cigarettes, but it was quiet. I sank onto the mattress, my body heavy, and let the sobs come. They racked me, loud and raw, until my throat ached. I'd trusted Jake. I'd told him how my mom's affair shattered our family, how I watched my dad crumble when I was just a kid. He knew cheating was my deepest wound, and still, he let that prank happen. I kept my phone off, afraid of what I'd see Jake's excuses, our friends' apologies. I couldn't face them, not yet. I curled up under the thin hotel blanket, my mind racing. What was I supposed to do now? Go back? Pretend it didn't happen? The thought made my stomach churn. I needed someone who'd understand, someone safe. That's when I thought of my Aunt Susan, who lived in a cozy house in Tacoma's North End. She'd always been my rock, the mom I wished I'd had. The next morning, I called my team lead at work. My voice cracked as I explained I'd need a few days off for a personal emergency. She didn't pry, just said, "Take care of yourself, Sarah," her tone soft, like she could hear the hurt in my sniffles. I thanked her, hung up, and dialed Susan. "Can I stay with you for a bit?" I asked, barely holding it together. "Of course, honey," she said without hesitation. "Come over now." The drive to Susan's was short but felt endless. When I pulled into her driveway, she was already at the door, her warm smile cutting through my fog. I fell into her arms, the tears starting again. "Oh, Sarah," she whispered, rubbing my back. She didn't ask questions, just led me inside to her guest room, with its soft quilts and lavender-scented pillows. "You're home here," she said, squeezing my hand. I told her everything: Jake, the prank, the woman, the betrayal. Her face tightened, but she listened, nodding, letting me spill every jagged piece of my heart. Susan helped me unpack my small bag, her presence steadying me. "You don't have to decide anything now," she said, her voice firm but kind. "Stay as long as you need." I nodded, grateful, but the weight of what happened still pressed down. I wasn't ready to face Jake or our friends. I needed time to sort through the wreckage, to figure out if I could ever trust again. I sat on Aunt Susan's guest bed, staring at my phone, its black screen taunting me. I hadn't turned it on since the hotel. The silence was safe, but I couldn't hide forever. My fingers trembled as I pressed the power button. The screen lit up, and notifications flooded in hundreds of texts, missed calls, voicemails. Most were from Jake, but plenty came from our friends, Mia, Ethan, and Lily. My stomach twisted. What could they possibly say to fix this? I opened our group chat first, bracing myself. The early messages were frantic. "Sarah, where are you? Are you okay? Please answer." As I scrolled, the tone shifted. They apologized over and over, begging me to understand. Mia wrote, "We had no idea it would go like that." Ethan added, "It was supposed to be a silly prank, not that." Lily's message hit hardest. "We didn't know about Emma. She ruined everything." Emma? The woman on the couch. My chest tightened at her name. They explained it all in a long thread. The plan was a surprise birthday party at our apartment. Jake had organized it, pulling in our friends and a few of his old college buddies from UW. The prank was supposed to be goofy, a staged horror movie scene where Emma, dressed as a fake serial killer with a plastic knife, would pretend to attack Jake. They thought I'd laugh, knowing my love for horror films. Everyone agreed it'd be quick, with the reveal right after my reaction was caught on camera. But Emma changed the script. She ditched the costume, the props, everything. Instead, she climbed onto Jake, making it look like I'd caught them cheating. My friends swore they were as shocked as I was. They'd hidden in the kitchen, expecting a cheesy horror skit, but when they heard me scream and saw me run, they knew something was wrong. Lily wrote, "We saw Emma on him. No costume, no knife. It wasn't the plan." Ethan said they confronted her after I left, but she just smirked and slipped away. I felt a pang of guilt for ghosting them. They didn't know about my past, how cheating ripped my family apart. I typed a quick message. "I'm sorry for disappearing. I was hurt. Can you tell me more?" Within seconds, they responded, relieved I was safe. Mia called, her voice shaky. "Sarah, we feel awful. We thought it'd be fun, not traumatic." Ethan jumped in on speaker. "Emma's unhinged. Jake didn't know she'd pull that." They sent videos from the night clips of them setting up balloons, laughing, unaware of Emma's betrayal. I apologized again, my throat tight. "It's not your fault," I said. I couldn't handle it. They insisted I didn't owe them anything, just happy I was okay. Lily suggested a redo birthday celebration. Just us, no Jake, no college friends. "This weekend at my place in Fremont," she said. "We'll make it right." I smiled for the first time in days, warmth creeping in. "I'd love that," I replied, grateful for their loyalty. But Jake was still a shadow in my mind. What was his deal with Emma? Why did he let this happen? I needed answers, but I wasn't ready to face him. Not yet. The morning sun filtered through Aunt Susan's kitchen window, warming my coffee mug as I sat at her table. I was still shaken, but my friend's explanation gave me a sliver of clarity. Then, a knock at the door made my heart lurch. Susan answered, her face tightening. "Sarah, someone's here for you," she called, her tone sharp. I knew who it was before I saw him. Jake stood in the doorway, clutching a bouquet of roses and a box of my favorite dark chocolate truffles from Theo's in Seattle. He looked awful, red-rimmed eyes, disheveled hair, like he hadn't slept in days. "Sarah, please," he said, voice breaking. "Can we talk?" I hesitated, my chest tight with anger and hurt. Susan shot him a glare but stepped aside. "5 minutes," I said coldly, crossing my arms. He stepped inside, setting the flowers and chocolate on the counter. His hands shook as he spoke. "I messed up. I'm so sorry. It wasn't supposed to happen like that." He echoed what my friends had told me. The prank was meant to be a harmless horror skit, with Emma playing a fake serial killer. He'd invited his old UW college friends to join the surprise, thinking it'd make the party bigger, better. But Emma went rogue, ditching the costume to make it look like they were cheating. "I didn't know she'd do that," he insisted, his voice desperate. "When I saw your face, I panicked. I yelled because I was scared I'd lose you. I was wrong, Sarah. I'm so sorry." His words hit hard, stirring the love I still felt despite everything. I remembered the nights we'd spent laughing on our couch, planning our future. But my mom's betrayal flashed in my mind, a warning. Could I trust him? "How'd you find me?" I asked, narrowing my eyes. He admitted he'd tracked my phone through a shared app we'd set up months ago for safety. It felt invasive, but his raw regret softened my anger. "I cut off those college friends," he said, tears welling. "I never meant to hurt you. I love you, Sarah." He stepped closer, and I didn't pull away when he hugged me. His warmth felt familiar, safe, even after the chaos. I cried too, my emotions a tangled mess. "I need you to mean it," I whispered. He nodded, promising to make it right. After talking for an hour, I agreed to go back to our apartment. Susan hugged me tightly, whispering, "If he screws up again, I'm stealing you for good." I laughed, grateful for her fierce love. Jake drove us back to Capitol Hill, his hand resting gently on mine. At home, he offered to toss the couch where it all happened. "No," I said, running my hand over its leather. "It's just a couch. Let's move on." I wanted to believe we could. My friends were thrilled we'd reconciled, and for the first time in days, I felt hope. Maybe we could rebuild. Back in our Capitol Hill apartment, things felt almost normal. Jake was attentive, cooking my favorite pasta, holding me close at night. But a nagging unease lingered, like a splinter I couldn't pull out. I tried to focus on the good our friend's upcoming birthday redo, Jake's promises to change, yet something felt off, like a shadow I couldn't shake. 3 days later, Jake sat me down on our couch, the same one where it all went wrong. His face was pale, eyes swollen, like he'd been crying. "Sarah, I haven't been fully honest," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. My heart sank, a sick feeling twisting my gut. I braced myself, hands clenched. "What now?" I asked, my voice sharp. He took a shaky breath. "Emma, she wasn't just a college friend. She was my first girlfriend." My stomach lurched. He kept going, words tumbling out. They'd dated at UW, shared everything, first love, first heartbreak. When they graduated, Emma ended it, saying she couldn't do long distance. It crushed him, sent him spiraling into depression for years. "I thought I was over her," he said, tears streaming, "until she reached out a few weeks before your birthday." My blood ran cold. He admitted they'd been texting, then meeting up. "One thing led to another," he said, voice cracking. We were intimate, every day, up until the party." I froze, my vision blurring. The room spun. He'd been cheating, not just pranked me. The prank was a cover for his betrayal, and Emma's stunt was no accident she wanted me to see. "When I saw your face that night," he said, "I realized I love you more than I ever loved her. I messed up, Sarah. I'm so sorry." I couldn't breathe. My mom's affair, my ex's lies, they crashed over me, mixing with this fresh wound. "You knew what cheating did to me," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "And you did it anyway." He sobbed, reaching for me, but I pulled back, my heart shattering. "I thought you were different," I whispered. I stood, legs shaky, and grabbed my keys. "I'm done," Jake begged, clutching my arm. "Please, Sarah, we can fix this." this?" His voice broke, but I saw my mom's face in my mind, my dad's broken spirit. I couldn't stay. I pushed him away, harder than I meant to, and ran to my car. Tears streamed as I drove back to Susan's in Tacoma, the road a blur. When I stumbled through her door, she didn't ask questions, just held me as I sobbed, my strength crumbling. "You're enough," she whispered, stroking my hair, but I felt hollow, betrayed, like trust was a lie I'd never believe again. I sat on Aunt Susan's couch, wrapped in a quilt, staring blankly at the rain streaking her living room window. Tacoma's gray skies mirrored the storm inside me. Jake's confession had gutted me, leaving a hollow ache where love used to be. I wanted to hate him, to erase the years we'd shared, but my heart still clung to the good moments, his laugh, our late-night talks. It made the betrayal sting even more. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with a call from Ethan, one of Jake's closest friends. His voice was tense. "Sarah, Jake's in the hospital. They found him unresponsive in his apartment." My breath caught. "What happened?" I asked, dread creeping in. Ethan didn't know much, just that Jake had collapsed, and paramedics rushed him to Harborview in Seattle. "He's alone, Sarah," Ethan said. "No family's around. You're the only one who knows his medical history." I didn't want to go. The thought of seeing Jake, after everything, made my skin crawl, but guilt gnawed at me. I knew his allergies, his past surgeries, the meds he couldn't take. If something went wrong, and I wasn't there, I'd never forgive myself. I drove to the hospital, my hands shaking on the wheel. The sterile hallways smelled of antiseptic, and the beeping monitors set my nerves on edge. Jake was still unconscious, hooked to IVs, his face pale under the fluorescent lights. I spoke to the doctors, giving them his records, my voice flat as I listed his conditions. They thanked me, said they'd keep me updated, but he hadn't woken up. I sat outside his room, my mind a tug of war. I loved him, despite everything, his smile, his warmth, the way he'd made me feel safe, but he'd shattered that safety, cheated with Emma, knowing my past. I couldn't unsee it. Susan called, her voice steady. "You don't owe him anything, Sarah. Protect your heart." I nodded, though she couldn't see, tears slipping down my cheeks. I wanted to walk away, to start over, but leaving him like this felt cruel, yet staying felt like betraying myself. I didn't know what came next, where I'd live, how I'd heal. The future was a fog, and all I could do was wait, caught between love and loss, hoping the universe would show me the way.